I'm Kevin Magnussen and you're watching SAFEisFAST. Kids today, they have simulators available to them that they can have at home that are so good that they can actually learn how to drive, and maybe not one-to-one learn how to drive the real car, but at least they can drive many different cars in the sim game, and they can adapt to those and learn how to drive those in the simulator. That means they're better at adapting when they get onto the real car.
The simulator sessions, it's various topics we are looking at. So first of all, it's the preparation for the track, to familiarize the drivers with the track. Secondly, second big one is trying to optimize setup, find directions, also ideas which we can try on track then. And thirdly, we also practice procedures. So yeah, any focus yellow or whatever procedure is also practiced on the simulator.
Having the beauty of the sim is that you can try everything you want to try and it doesn't have consequences. And I think that's something that we should all use. Yes, the sim experience is a baseline as long as it's a well-correlated simulator, but definitely when you go to a new track, a new car, having the sim data and knowing what a car is capable of doing is saving you tens of laps.
Yeah, I would say the first 10 minutes of practice is all kind of relying on your sim experience from what you've done in the past, and kind of closes the learning gap. So maybe that takes out a lap or two in practice of, hey, I need to learn this or I need to go through this corner one more time because you've been on the sim.
When I show up to the track, my brake markers, what gear I'm using in the simulator, when I'm picking up the throttle, how much speed I'm rolling, those things are all very, very translatable to real life and give you a very good baseline. Obviously, when you get to the track, things can change. You're always on a different tire, the track conditions are always changing, so it's hard to really replicate what you do from the sim, but it gives a very, very realistic baseline to where you should kind of know where to start.
For me, I use it a lot in hypercar because you have a lot of functions on the steering wheel that you need to be able to use while still driving without losing pace. So I do it to prepare and train my brain to be able to do tasks in the car without losing lap time. We do a lot of sim to prepare for the races, but that's mostly about setup with the individual teams. At home for myself, I do it just to stay sharp, stay good, and if I have something to work on, I'll take a bit of time at home to make sure that if I haven't quite been getting my brake shapes right or focusing on the right part of the corner, I'll be doing that. It's a lot closer to then being a more more typical athlete, like a tennis player who hits a ball every single day. You can kind of do that to learn the quirks of every circuit before you get there.
The best things a driver can take to the track is really the procedural side of it, strategy, and then also they try to understand the driving line. This is really something they can transfer to the real world.
I learned a lot of racecraft on iRacing. I think the way that you can set up a pass on iRacing and the way that you can learn how to drive around other race cars is very similar to real life. All of the things that you do inside of the car racecraft-wise are very, very similar and recreatable on iRacing.
I think nowadays it's really big for a lot of people in the sim to be able to look at data, where for a long time that wasn't really a thing that people did. So that's a big thing, to kind of understand what it looks like when you go through the corner and it looks correct on data. So when you get to the track, you're not wasting time in between sessions trying to learn on what it should look like.
I used it a lot in training my brain not to get stressed out. Basically how I would do it is I would do a bunch of runs on the sim, and whilst I'm doing it, somebody would stand next to me and start asking me really hard questions that I had to answer, trying to stress my brain and making sure that I stay calm, take my time with the answer, and basically help you monitor your emotions whilst you're driving.
I used to struggle a lot with, nerves before the race and being super nervous before a race, and that causes me to make mistakes as the race starts. I get those same emotions in iRacing, and it was helpful for me to, hop into iRacing races and just remind myself to always stay calm, and the mental part of it is very real as well. I always, on iRacing, am worried about my safety rating and crashing, and that's very similar to real life. You don't want to be the guy to make a mistake and cost your entire team because you were nervous. So I definitely think the mental part of iRacing and getting in real races and feeling those emotions can translate to real life as well.
The biggest difference is you don't feel the forces of driving around the track. You don't have any G-force. You're driving much more visually and, let's say, like consciously with your inputs, whereas in a real car you can feel everything that's going on. You can kind of feel the tires close to giving up, the grip on You can't really feel that in the simulators.
I mean, the biggest difference is there's no reset button in the real world, right? You have to creep up to things a lot more, and you can't quite drive as close to the limit as you can on the sim. You know, on the sim, you could be right on the ragged edge. You can get away with it a lot of times. But unfortunately, in the real life, it costs a lot of people a lot of money if you're crashing all the time. So the lack of the reset button is probably the biggest thing.
I think in the end, you're not always going to have the perfect tire model, and the car model isn't always going to be perfect. So trying to understand how tires warm up, and people spend a lot of money trying to get it in the right window, but really only the top teams in hypercar and Formula One have really managed to get close to it, I think. So I think when it comes to the sim, really focusing just on style and circuits and different lines and how you drive is really good.
Yeah, once you understand what you need to focus on when you get in a simulator versus real life, you know, the two start to compare a lot more once you realize the differences. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button.
Please let us know in the comments what you'd like to see next.